In this video, I'm going to talk about blood money, what blood money is, and how it's used today to keep the human population trapped in a cycle of anxiety. Now, blood money and ritual money are similar. Ritual money is a cash flow that you receive after conducting paranormal rituals. You don't have to be in a demonic contract to perform magic rituals that will cause a cash flow to come your way. Often you will need a business or some type of activity to receive the cash flow through. But that's what ritual money is. It's a paranormal induced cash flow. Blood money is when someone receives money or any type of payment at the expense of a human life. Okay, let's say that you have two men, Rob and Frank. They are in an argument and Rob loses it and kills Frank. Now, the family of Frank demands a payment from Rob. Because if Rob is executed for the crime or he goes to jail, it will cost the community. Because the community has to pay for his imprisonment through tax dollars, or if he's executed, the community now will have to explain why they as a community have a right to execute someone. So to avoid all of that, the family, in agreement with the leaders of the community, demands blood money from Rob. Rob is fined to pay 100 silver coins, or if in today money, it would be like, he has to pay like 3,000 or 4,000 euros a year for the next 15 years to the relatives of the one he killed. Why? Because then the relatives are compensated for the loss of the loved one and they won't suffer any economic harm because of it. Blood money is also used for minor crimes. Well, not really minor because they're not grievous, but for less fatal crimes as rape or assault. And it's called, in the Western world, to bail someone out. When someone is on bail, the government demands blood money. That's what it is. Now, blood money and ritual money are similar because they're both rituals. And here's why blood money is so dangerous. Because blood money appears to be about compensation for the relatives of the victim. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are times blood money really does intend to bring relief to the relatives of the victim. But most of the time, blood money is a form of blackmail. Let me explain. Let's say now you have the king of Denmark. He's from the Oldenburger dynasty, so he also was the king of Norway at the same time. So the king of Denmark, Norway, he wants to purchase a large sum of land from some German prince. And the deal is made. But he has to go through the darkroom rituals. Even if he's king of Denmark, when it comes to the Apollonists, there is no such thing as someone getting a free pass. Everyone needs to go through the darkroom rituals. He needs to go through all of that, and he needs to bring blood sacrifices. So, after he goes through the darkroom rituals and the deal is made, there are servants of the king going through Denmark, kidnapping some children, and they are brought to some monastery or to some church in Denmark where the children are, well, they are molested in various ways for days, and then they are killed. And sometimes the blood is consumed also as part of as a part of ritual vampirism. After this is completed, the deal is done completely, transaction has been made, and the King of Denmark receives this large plot of land, which becomes an additional province of Denmark. Now, the families of those missing children are not aware that the children have been abducted and used in ritual sacrifices. So what happens now, the King of Denmark, as well as the local pagans that rule Denmark, need to hide the crime. How do they do it? They raise taxes. And once the taxes are raised, people are going to ask, why are the taxes raised? And then people will hear that there's a border dispute between Denmark and some German prince. So then the people think, you know what? Let the tax be raised, at least we are protected from being involved in another war. So then people pay the taxes voluntarily because they think there may be a war soon, we don't want that, so we pay the taxes, we comply with the safety of our country. And the people intend well, but they're not aware that the money they pay to the king will be used to offer handouts to the relatives of those missing children. So let's say that now you have a priest, or let's say you have a pastor at a church that one day donates some money to searching for those missing children. They conduct a whole search and he sponsors the search. Then people think, well, that pastor is doing God's will because he's helping those in need. No. That pastor is part of the Apollinist circle. He knows what happened. He knows what happened to those kids. So in order to cover it up, he knows that the government increased the taxes, and now some of the tax money is now used as handouts to the relatives of those children. So the relatives of those children are not aware they're receiving a handout. But the handout they receive is blood money, is to hide the blood of their children that were sacrificed. The moment they receive that money, they agree with the transaction. Therefore, they also agree with the sacrifice. The population who was not aware of what happened, that paid the taxes, they were just scammed. But the moment the relatives receive a lot of assistance financially to locate their children, they should ask questions. Why is someone so generous with this money? It's blood money. It's to cover up the crime. Now, let's go to another example. Let's say that this is a corporation. I'm going to use a modern example now that produces jeans. I'm going to use a common item. The company produces jeans. In China, there are people working to death to produce those jeans. So those people are exploited. Then the jeans are transported to, let's say, France, where they're sold each for 500 euros. And then you have youngsters that want to be accepted by society. They purchase those expensive trousers. Or jeans. What can I say? They call them jeans. Yes. They purchase those expensive jeans. Let's say now that the sale of the jeans come down to a profit of 45 million euros. The hundreds of sick employees in China will never see any of that money. Now, that corporation will transfer that money to other pagan corporations, and those pagan corporations will use that money to finance the paychecks of their employees. So in France, you have employees that go to their job every day. Each end of the month they receive a paycheck, but the money from that paycheck doesn't come from the company where they work. It comes from another pagan corporation that exploited human lives. So when those employees of that second company are paid, they are paid blood money. And that's why those employees have to work so hard, full time, so that their minds are, how do I say, drained, Their mind is exhausted, so they can't think clear. They are in a state of anxiety for having to keep their job. And in a state of anxiety, they are in the negative. And now, when they receive the money that's made out of the back of those Chinese workers, now they receive the curse. And they receive the curse easily because they are in a state of negativity. So now when the negativity of the cash flow, because the cash flow itself is negative, when they receive it, they're now part of the cycle of abuse that kills many Chinese employees. And because they, in France, work full-time, they think that they've earned their money, that they have a right to spend it as they want. So they purchase flat-screen TVs, they go on expensive holidays. And they are trapped in a cycle from 9 to 5. Because those pagan corporations make deals with one another, that they transfer cash flow, that they flow the cash towards one another. And by dumping the cash on the bank accounts of the employees as compensation, the curse remains with the employees who are active and who operate in this cash flow. That's why many of those employees eventually they develop mental issues, or their houses become haunted, or their marriages break down. It's not just because they're working full time, it is because they are trapped by blood money. Blood money is a cash flow based on murder. That's why this cash flow is accursed. It has negative tension attached to it, and there are evil spirits attached to that flow. That is what blood money is. A cash flow based on the murder of someone else. So you're participating in blood sacrifice. That's what it comes down to. In ritual money, you receive a cash flow that's often in low quantity, though to you provoking the paranormal on your behalf. And a lot of folks doing that. I don't recommend that because it's paranormal, but there are a lot of folks doing that. But when you want a high amount of cash flow all the time, then you need to get involved in blood money. Because the suffering and death of the victims energizes demons. And demons, because they're energized, they reward you with a cash flow. That's how it works. And because of that, you're now stuck in negativity. And now you have to keep the negativity going with the cash flow you've received. So now you know why in many places they've installed this 9 to 5 full-time mechanism. Because you have pagan corporations that use the energy, the life source of their employees as a cover-up for their curses. Because think about it this way. If you donate your life source to some corporation, and that corporation is draining and even killing other people, when the flow of cash comes, if the pagan businessmen would receive it directly for themselves, they would be haunted by the curse. So what do? They may have thousands or even hundreds or maybe even thousands of employees. They dump the cash flow. They redirect the cash flow towards employees. And then they have ritual money that they do also. And based on ritual money, they receive thousands of euros and they live from that money. So you may hear that a corporation is worth 200 million euros or 200 million US dollars. So you think that the owners of that corporation are multimillionaires. It can be that you have a corporation that's worth 200 million euros and that the owner of that corporation is worth 30 million euros. But from those 30 million euros, he only actually has 2 million euros and he lives from a cash flow of around 3,000 euros a month. So what does the rest of the 28 million euros go to? Though that money goes to the bank accounts of the employees. The pagan businessman himself doesn't take the whole 30 million for himself because he knows, oh, he will be in trouble. That's why he keeps up the illusions that he's a multi-millionaire. And because most of his employees really would like to be free from this 9-to-5 trap, but they're not aware how to do it, they will consider him a lucky man, a fortunate man. He isn't. So blood money is a cash flow based on murder. And you can trap people in this cash flow first by trapping them in a state of anxiety and then compensate them for a state of anxiety. Because anxiety attracts anxiety. So when the anxiety of the bloodshed begins to attach itself, it will attach itself to the others who receive the anxiety-driven cash flow. And they are in a state of anxiety themselves, so that matches to each other. They don't have to be aware what's going on, but that's what's happening. They are trapped in a cash flow of blood money. And being stuck on this cash flow will kill you slowly over time. Let me say like this: if you have if you have blood money that arrives in the hands of a drug dealer, you can see clearly that within a month or two, he's in big trouble. He may even lose his life. Let's say the drug dealer receives 80,000 euros at once due to a drug deal. That drugs will be used to advance the downfall of many people. Many will be harmed and hurt, though, to drug addicts being able to get their drugs. So the payment that the drug dealer receives is blood money. If he keeps the money to himself, within 2 or 3 months, misery comes after him. That's why when a drug dealer gets a lot of money, he often spends it like crazy. They often go to parties. They go to parties, purchase expensive bottles of liquor, and they waste all the liquor. Sometimes they purchase a 1,000 euro bottle of wine and they spill it on the floor. And you think, what? You bought a 1,000 euro bottle of wine? You posted on Instagram how you spilled it on the floor in the club? What? And people see this and think, what is this guy doing? He knows what he's doing. He is getting rid of the blood money. And by spending it that quickly, he will be free from it. Because the moment he keeps the blood money, he will be the one dying soon. And that's why he often spends it in places where there is toxic energy. So then the toxicity will remain there. If he goes with that money to some charity organization where people want to do something good, that money will cause harm to the ones receiving the donation. And people will soon trace that the money came from him and he will be in trouble. So that's why when he receives the blood money, he needs to waste it, needs to spend it so that he remains safe. That's how it goes. Now, the reason I'm informing about blood money is because if you are trapped in a cycle of blood money and you're not aware of it, you'll be going around in circles, you'll be spinning around looking for answers, looking for solutions that will never come because you don't deal with the root. The root is you've been trapped and tricked into functioning as a psychic shield for the curses of those pagan businessmen. And I spoke of psychic shields before, how narcissists want to have those around them as psychic shields. Narcissists want those around them to provide them with sympathy, so that when attacks come or when their negativity backfires, it will land on those that are sympathizing with them. And those people that are sympathizing with them will receive the harm and the narcissist remains free. That's how it goes with blood money. You have the pagan businessmen who do their dirty things. The demons are energized and demons cause a cash flow towards them. They also perform rituals for ritual money. So the low cash flow they receive from ritual money, they keep it to themselves, and a large amount, they redirect it to other people. And those other people are now trapped in this cycle of blood money. So when the harm comes, it will fall on the people that are participating in the blood money. That's how they do it. And about slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, when the Portuguese came to the Yahweh coast, or the Kingdom of Judah in Western Africa, they offered blood money to some of the local leaders over there to bribe them. And because those people received blood money and they turned a blind eye to the Portuguese kidnapping their people and putting them into slavery, the people in Western Africa slowly but slowly became accursed, due to them participating in blood money. Eventually it led to many nations coming to Western Africa, and Western Africa was depopulated due to the genocidal slave trade. And the result of it you can see today. But here's another issue. All those nations that robbed Western Africa, they now are charged with the attention of all the homicides their ancestors committed. So what are they doing? They are redirecting the cash flow to migrants or to criminals or to, well, or they just trick their people into 9-to-5 jobs to redirect the flow to them. Why is this? Because those pagan households that are the nobility that govern the Western countries, that, and also some other countries that exploit that from the transatlantic slave trade, they know what's coming for them. That's why they redirect it. So these 9-to-5 jobs are instituted to, to weaken people's energy fields, to make them receptive to the negative tensions of the cash flow. And because people are told that when they work and pay taxes, they're the ones paying for other people's welfare or for the social provisions, because people think this, they tend to become resentful when they don't have control over the cash flow. But here's the thing, they never had control upon the cash flow to begin with. It was all a hoax. So now we have people being resentful towards one another, and they now join political parties to vindicate their financial needs, some to the left, some to the right, and that's another deception that keeps them trapped in a state of anxiety. The root is they're involved in a cash flow of blood money, but they can't see it. And because they think it's their money, because they work hard for it, they gave the life source for it, because they think that that small compensation at the end of the month is worth it, they now want to defend and protect that little bit of compensation they have. And by holding on to it, they are trapped further into the tension that comes with blood money. I told you this before. Some regions or some places don't have a real natural economy. The only thing they have is a pornographic hoax that they as a population are sustaining because they either don't know any better or they don't want to face it. That's going on with many countries. That's why often the regions where people earn a lot of money, who are the quote-unquote good neighborhoods, that's why often psychopaths come out of those neighborhoods. That's why often a lot of filthiness come out of those environments. A lot of sexual abuse happens over there. You may think, whoa, those people earning good money, they belong to the high middle class. They are polite people. They're people with class. They are stuck in a cycle of blood money. So all the demons follow that flow. And the demons will manifest them through the people that participate in that flow. Look, some of the leaders in Western Africa that committed treason against their own people by receiving blood money from the Portuguese and later Spaniards, they brought a lot of harm on themselves and on their people. And black folks today that descend from the people in West Africa from then, they're still paying the price for the foolishness of some of their ancestors. But everyone throughout history that participated in the exploitation and genocide of black folks, they also have their tensions to face. But they do it smart. They redirect the tensions to their own people, tricking them into thinking that it's to promote or advance the economy. It's all a hoax. There's nothing wrong with a cash flow, okay? A cash flow is a cash flow. But there are flows of money that are tainted by blood. And every country or any community that participates in a cash flow based on murder will reap infestations of demons. They will harvest a lot of sexual curses. They will harvest sicknesses. They will harvest a lot of weird and disgusting things. That's why it's important to be renewed in your mind and to walk supernaturally when it comes to finances. That's why you need to be delivered from this Apollonistic financial system. Because it's based on murder. It's based on genocide. It's based on keeping your population sick to benefit at their expense. You can't willingly participate in this and remain blessed. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What's the solution? I said it before. Realize that cash is just cash, nothing more. So unlearn the value of cash because there's no value in it, and use the cash that comes your way, whether it's through your job or some other way. Use it for practical purpose only, but don't rely on it. Don't become attached to it. You can supernaturally cause a cash flow to come your way through prayer in line with Christ. There are times, however, the Holy Spirit will not give in to that prayer because the Holy Spirit sees even if you receive a clean cash flow, there will be jealous people and envious folks that will come after you. And sooner or later, they will do whatever they can to contaminate you and the clean cash flow you have. And what's a clean cash flow? That's a cash flow that's made in thin air. Let me explain. People think money has value, you need to work for it. That's not true. Money isn't even real. When you have people printing coins, or they're minting coins or they're printing paper money, and it comes fresh from the machine, that is clean because it's just paper. And if you get a flow from that, okay, then it's just clean, a clean flow. The moment, however, you take that paper and you subject it onto rituals and you force people to give the life source to it, and then they receive a compensation, and it is through these compensation transactions, from these compensations, that you have a cash flow in a community. Now that cash flow is not clean anymore. It is contaminated. There are evil spirits following that flow. Some people try to escape this by going onto digital currency. There, let's say the haunting, the paranormal haunting is less severe because it's electronic, because there's no actual physical object for demons to attach themselves to. But the same still applies. You want a clean cash flow? It can happen. It can. But you need to keep it unto yourself. So don't go out there and broadcast it. And once it happens, use it for the right purposes. For some of you that listen to this, you have no other option than to go to your job. So I'm not telling you to quit your job and you're not able to pay the rent. I'm not telling you to put yourself in harm's way. No. Keep your job, do your job, pay your rent, do what you have to do. Meanwhile, remain in prayer, remain fasting, so that you will be freed from this Apollonistic system. There's no way to avoid the system. The system will be here until Christ returns, but learn to overrule the system and use the system as a tool instead of allowing the system to use you. Because what happens now is that the system is using people instead of people using the system. It should be the other way around. Christ said, use the unrighteous mammon to make friends, so that when the righteous mammon falls away, those people you made friends with will receive you in eternal tents. So what did he mean with that? Use the cash flows that you'll come in contact with in this world to glorify Christ. Sometimes you will encounter blood money. In that case, you walk by faith. The blood of the Lamb will overrule the negative tensions that are attached to the flow. There's not an excuse for you to get involved in blood money. It just means that if you are trapped in blood money, you're not aware of it, the blood of Christ will cleanse you and overrule the darkness that haunts the flow. That's when it comes to finances, pray. When it comes to finances, seriously, fast.